Hey, what's up, guys? It's your fitness trainer, Joey, here. And before we begin our Crossbar Podcast, I'd just like to point out the fact that my MLS predictions might have been 50%, but I'd like to see how many people can predict who would win penalty shootouts beforehand, as both my losses in Kansas City and Atlanta United came in penalties, but my predictions on who was going to win came in the form of blowouts. So I'm going to give myself a 55% on MLS predictions this week. Alright, so a few little side notes, starting with my tactics explained. I'll have the first one out this weekend on the 4-2-3-1, and then next weekend will be the winger. I'll try to record a few more of those. So as of recording this, obviously there are some games going on right now today. I will not have I'll just talk briefly about where they're at while recording this. Games to look forward to on the weekend. Obviously, it was a cup for most leagues. Some leagues had mid-round games. We discussed those in the previous podcast. This time around, we've got the weekend games coming up. So, in the English Premier League, starting tomorrow, Manchester United hosting Tottenham, who will be without their star center forward Harry Kane, who will be out with an injury. I expect Manchester United to probably come out with a win. If Tottenham manage to pull out a tie here, especially since they're both tied on points for second place, if Tottenham can come out of a tie with this one, they might be looking better off for it. We got Crystal Palace hosting West Ham. That is a battle of strugglers. Crystal Palace with one surprise win over Chelsea and then went straight back to losing the next week, taking on West Ham, who've been struggling but should be boosted by a midweek win over Tottenham in the League Cup. West Brom hosting Man City. Man City should easily crush them in that game. I don't see how Man City... I don't even think they're going to lose any games this season. I know they tied one game, but I think the rest of it should just be wins for the most part until they get to maybe some higher talent competition. Liverpool looking to shrug off a huge defeat at Tottenham, hosting Huddersfield Town this week. I expect Liverpool to return to winning ways, but they do manage to struggle against some mid-range teams alongside the likes of Tottenham, who have an amazing goalkeeper who could just hold them in the game until they could break away. Watford hosting Stoke City. Watford are a lot better this year than people give them credit for. Yes, they did lose last week to Chelsea. They beat Arsenal beforehand. They are within grasping distance right now of the top four, and I expect them to take a win against Stoke City at home. Arsenal hosting struggling Swansea City at the Emirates. Arsenal should come away with a win on this one. Swansea looks like they're going to be in another playoff scrap, so if Arsenal want to keep up any form of potentially getting top four, they're going to need a win against Swansea City. Speaking of top four, we also have Bournemouth hosting Chelsea. Bournemouth are looking a little better. They did get a win last week, moving them 4 points clear of the cellar and about a point away from getting out of the relegation zone. I expect them to put up quite a tough challenge to Chelsea in this game. So maybe a draw. I could see a draw happening here, especially with Chelsea having Champions League coming up. Definitely could be looking forward to that. Then Sunday, Brighton hosting Southampton. Both teams are doing surprisingly pretty well in the mid-table, staying well out of that relegation battle, but not really challenging for any European spots. It should be an exciting game, that one. And then you've got Leicester City hosting Everton. Leicester have been okay this season, definitely not making any pushes that they did in the past two seasons. And then Everton have just been absolutely struggling in the fact that they fired Ronald Koeman, and now they've got an interim manager looking for a new one. Lots of names have been thrown out there, but I don't know who they could potentially pick. And I expect Leicester to take this one while Everton still struggle to find a direction to go for. And then the Monday game, Burnley hosting Newcastle. Burnley having a coach that's one of the favorites to take the Everton job with the amount of talent he has at Burnley currently and what he's been able to get out of them, taking on Newcastle, who have Rafa Benitez, who's absolutely turned that club around as well. Should be an interesting matchup there. I could not call it either way. I look forward to watching that game on Monday. Turning our attention to Spain tomorrow, Alaves hosting red-hot Valencia. Valencia should take a win on that one. Valencia currently in second place in La Liga, and I expect them to hold that spot. Atletico Madrid hosting Villarreal. Definitely going to be a close competition there. Atletico Madrid at home taking on Villarreal, who are still trying to break into some European places. Next, you have Barcelona traveling to Bilbao to take on Athletic Bilbao. Playing in Bilbao is very difficult. I would say at home, Barcelona easily have this. On the road, I think it's a little bit closer, but I don't think Barcelona slip up here. And then the other interesting game tomorrow is Sevilla hosting Leganes. Leganes are top 6 right now, if I recall correctly. They have been doing very well this season, and Sevilla were top 2, or were second place, I think 2 weeks ago maybe, 2-3 weeks ago, and now they've completely dropped off. So this will be a definite test here. If Leganes can win, they could maybe challenge for some European spots. If Sevilla managed to win, they could possibly turn around this downturn and try to get back into the Champions League spots. Definitely going to be a tough task. Sunday, you have Getafe hosting Real Sociedad. Sociedad are in Europa League. They're hit and miss, but should be a decent game. Girona hosting Real Madrid. I expect a Real Madrid victory there. Malaga hosting Celta Vigo. That should be... Malaga should look to pick up their first win of the season, but I just don't know what's going on with them. I'm going to have to look into that. Eibar hosting Levante. And then Monday, you have Las Palmas hosting Deportivo and Espanyol hosting Real Betis. Turning our attention to France, let me refresh the page here. We've got PSG up at around halftime, 2-0 on OGC Nice. That's happening currently as I'm speaking. Unfortunate, because that should have been a pretty close game. Nice have generally been pretty good. Then on tomorrow, you've got Bordeaux hosting Monaco. Definitely an interesting game there. Bordeaux are doing well, top of the table. Monaco looking to keep pace with PSG. They got within 4 points now, but again, if Bordeaux managed to take a tie out of this one, Monaco will once again go back into their position. I'm assuming PSG will win this one up 2-0 at home. If Monaco drop more points here, they could go back 6-7 points, and again, I just don't see how that's going to do. Dijon hosting Nantes. Nantes are pretty high up in the table, should be interesting there. Strasbourg, team that has been in the news as of the last couple of results, tying Marseille at home. They got a win last week. They were in 19th place, and they definitely shot up the table there. You got Guingamp versus Amiens, Montpellier against Rennes, Caen versus Troyes tomorrow, or Troyes. Sunday, Lyon on fire. Lyon hosting Metz, and then Marseille traveling away to Lille. And you also have Saint-Etienne on the road to Toulouse. So some interesting games in Ligue 1. Please don't discount Ligue 1 because PSG are running away with it. This is what the Bundesliga was a couple of years ago. It's always interesting once you get down from first place. Think about it as a race for the second place. And all of the games are very interesting. You watch the highlights there and it's back and forth. So it might not be top quality, but it's definitely entertaining to watch. Serie A tomorrow, Milan hosting Juventus. Milan have been struggling with a capital S, and Juventus looking to try and climb back up. They got a little bit of benefit with Napoli and Inter Milan dropping 2 points last weekend, so I'm expecting them to want to take all 3 here and keep climbing up. Roma looking to stay within striking distance of the top 4, hosting Bologna. Sunday, you've got Lazio traveling to Benevento. Lazio, again, in that top 4 spot, looking to possibly get close to the title there. Sampdoria hosting Chievo. Top of the table, Napoli hosting Sassuolo. That should be a win for them if they want to keep that top spot. Crotone hosting Fiorentina. Udinese hosting Atlanta. Torino hosting Cagliari. Spal hosting Genoa. And then on Monday, you got Inter Milan traveling on the road to Verona. Definitely want to keep pace. They're 1 point ahead of 3rd and 4th place, and they're 2 points off of the leaders. So they definitely want to take a win there and keep the pressure up. And finally, Bundesliga today. Let me refresh this one. We've got Mainz and Eintracht Frankfurt. Mainz hosting them. Eintracht in the second half, winning 1-0. Looking to tomorrow's games for the Bundesliga, you got Bayer Leverkusen hosting bottom of the table FC Köln. Schalke 04 hosting Wolfsburg. Should be a pretty solid win for Schalke, although Wolfsburg are still pretty high in the table. You got Hoffenheim hosting Mönchengladbach. Should be an interesting one. Dortmund traveling to Hanover. Hamburg SV looking to potentially take some points, traveling to Hertha Berlin. And then the big game of the weekend in Germany, which it definitely should be looked at. 11:30 Eastern Time. That's 6:30 European Time, 5:30 British Time, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I think you guys got the idea. Bayern Munich hosting Red Bull Leipzig. Bayern Munich are second in the table. Leipzig are third. I believe that's how it is. I don't know if I think Dortmund are still at the top, but that is a clash of the top three. These are two of the three title contenders right now, and early matchup in Bayern or in Munich. Sorry, that should be a great game. You know, Leipzig should have nothing to fear. They already went into Dortmund and got 3 points, so that should be something there. Bayern, since appointing their Jupp Heynckes, their previous treble-winning coach, they have been absolutely stunning as to how well they've answered in both League and Champions League. So this should definitely be an interesting game, and I would definitely recommend watching that. Next, you have Werder Bremen hosting FC Augsburg. Werder Bremen are at the bottom of the table as well, looking to grab 3 points at home. And then you have VfB Stuttgart against SC Freiburg. Looking forward to the MLS playoff picture. So, obviously, Red Bulls just absolutely destroyed Chicago Fire 4-0 at home. You had Houston Dynamo winning 1-0 over Sporting Kansas City. 5-0 winners, Vancouver Whitecaps, and Atlanta United losing out to Columbus Crew on penalty kicks. So, looking forward to that. The first leg should be actually this weekend. We got Seattle Sounders hosting Vancouver Whitecaps. Seattle and Vancouver, that's Cascadia Cup right there. Obviously, I think Portland Timbers did end up winning the Cascadia Cup, but having two of those teams meeting in the Western Conference semifinals, that's awesome to see. And then you got Portland Timbers and Houston Dynamo taking each other on. Toronto FC hosting Toronto FC and New York Red Bulls facing off, and NYCFC taking on Columbus Crew. Definitely interesting games there. I do like most of the teams that are still in here. Columbus, big news for them is they might be relocating to Austin, Texas, which would definitely shake things up. Interested to see how that turns out, but because Austin, both teams in Texas are in the Western Conference, FC Dallas and Houston Dynamo. But Columbus Crew being from the East Coast, that might shake things up for the playoff spot. Maybe Sporting Kansas City goes to the Eastern Conference. Who knows how that would work out. But NYCFC, both New York teams are still in there. You got 3 Cascadia Cup teams. You got a team from Houston. You got the overall MLS champions, Toronto, at home. And then you've got the Columbus Crew. So definitely interesting games. These are 2-legged affairs for the semifinals. So we'll be interested to see how that goes, and we should update you coming the next podcast. So this was a brief, under 15-minute podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys for the weekend explaining the 4-2-3-1. So tune in for that. Very informative. Great tactics explained. Help you kind of understand the game at a much better level, which is something I feel all real fans want to be able to do. So we'll see you guys then. Peace.